you can see there I've kind of got those guys stuck with a little molten core of fire on them that explodes later.
And so, move-wise, for those of us that are very familiar with God of War, what can we expect out of this one in terms of what Kratos can do? Because obviously there's some new stuff that we have never seen before.
Yeah, I mean, there's like all the staples that people are kind of familiar with, you know, as far as the blade combat goes. The spear and shield mechanics, they're going to be different since it's an all-new weapon for the series. We've kind of talked a little bit about them being this kind of cool mishmash of taking defensive on the offensive. So there's a lot of sweet moves you can do where you kind of keep the shield up, but you can move around while you're blocking. So that gives you advantage over a lot of enemies, especially ones who are, you know, kind of your rooted like archers who don't move around too much. You can kind of gain ground on them. In addition to that, we have all new context-sensitive moves like you're seeing here for all the creatures. And then on top of that, we've got a couple new navigation things. There's coming up in the clip we're going to show in a little bit. He has the ability to kind of like throw his blade into inclines and like, slide down like 45-degree angle slopes. So there's a bunch of new stuff in the game. It's just, you know, we try to take everything that everybody knows and loves about the game and then, you know, throw a few new things in there for people to kind of find.
And then visually, the original game looked great on PSP. This one seems like you guys are mixing it up a little bit. There's a lot more going on in the background, and there's a lot more color, yeah?
Yeah, the game is, you know, we took everything that we learned from doing Chains of Olympus, and then we basically kind of doubled our efforts again to try to push it even further. I mean, it's definitely visually beautiful as well as, you know, just a completely rich gameplay experience. We have a super talented team at Ready at Dawn, and they were able to find new ways of making this game look even more incredible. I mean, Chains of Olympus, I think, at the time we released that game, we were pretty happy with the way that game looked, and it was really well received, and I think people kind of felt it was like the pinnacle of PSP graphics, but this game definitely takes that up a few notches. I think that it's, I think people will be impressed at the difference if you hold this next to the original game, how much better it looks.
Were you guys able to kind of figure out how much more performance you're getting out of the PSP with this game as opposed to the original?
Yeah, again, we thought we were pretty much up against the wall in terms of what was possible from the system hardware standpoint, but, you know, going back in, being a little bit smarter about what we're doing, a little bit more careful with our resources, and, you know, obviously there's a lot of techniques and tricks that the artists learn along the way and the programmers have figuring out, you know, how to make it work.
And so right now we're heading towards what looks like kind of a big old pit in the ocean. So do you guys definitively solve what happened to Atlantis? Is this what we can expect?
Yeah, I don't want to give it all away, but yeah, definitely, you know, it's something that people are familiar with, this mythical lost city of Atlantis, and so we thought it was a cool thing to have that be this set piece for the game and kind of figure out what happened to it and have Kratos be involved in the story of the city. And it's you know, it's something that God of War 3 also alludes to. You know, you had this battle with Poseidon in God of War 3, and he's talking about the fact that, you know, there's some animosity between Kratos and Poseidon, and we get to find out why that is in this game.
And in terms of scope, you know, how big is the world that you kind of have to travel in?
It's big. Definitely, that was one of the things when we made this game we thought was really important. A lot of the feedback we got was that Chains of Olympus was a great game, but people wanted more of it. They wanted, you know, to stay in that world and that adventure longer. So, you know, we made a game that actually has quite a bit more gameplay in it, quite a bit more levels and everything. So you're going to see a bigger world and have a longer experience in this game.
All right, so let's switch it up to the next area right now, which is where is this?
That area is this volcanic pass, and it's this area that's completely flooded with lava from something that Kratos had done earlier in the game. And so you're basically having to retrace your steps and kind of walk through the carnage that you created yourself. And it's obviously like, you know, at the time it seemed like it was a good thing to do, and then later you have to deal with the consequences, you know, pretty much standard Kratos fare. In Chains of Olympus, we found that telling more about Kratos as, you know, going into his story, his personal life and his backstory was really rewarding, and people, you know, seem to really like to know more about, you know, how their favorite Spartan came to be. So in this game, in Ghost of Sparta, we took the same approach. You know, we know where he's going in God of War 2, and he's kind of starting that quest for vengeance against Zeus and the gods of Olympus. So this game gave us kind of an opportunity to go, why is he so pissed? Like, you know, what happened that made him so mad? We know some of it, you know, we know he's been tricked into killing his family, but, you know, what else could possibly have gone wrong?
All right, Dana, well, game looks great. There is much murdering of mythical creatures, which is kind of a must-have for God of War. Only big question we've got now is, when is the game coming out?
The game comes out November 2nd, so pretty soon.